Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sasquatch Watch Radio with your host, Billy Willard, and the Blog Squatter. Strap in, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, April 13th. We have a wonderful show in store for you tonight. Here in a moment we will introduce our guest. By the way, before we get into this, my name is Billy Willard, I'm your host, and now I'd like to introduce to you my co-host, the inimitable D.B. Donald.
Well, now I've heard that one before, but I can't remember what it means. You stumped me on that one. I think it means incomparable or something like that. But
you got it.
That's a good one. Hey, I got a little bit of news this time. How about that?
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Well, first let's ask, and how are you doing, Billy?
I'm doing just fine.
That's good to hear. Because a little bit of the news will have you as part of it, because it was you who alerted me back last week that there was a new video that was out from somewhere in Southwest Virginia, and the video has a name called The Beast of Gum Hill, and I put it up on the Blog Squatcher, and that has gotten hammered ever since I put it up. That one little video. What you can see, if there's anybody in the chat or who's listening who hasn't seen the video yet, you could probably find it by just Googling The Beast of Gum Hill, or you can go to the Blog Squatcher and scroll down. I think it's the last link on the front page now. But what it shows is some guys out riding their ATVs in a creek, and the camera pans to follow this guy, and then something crosses the creek up ahead of them. It's a good ways away, and it's actually hard to make it out on the video. And when I saw it, I was like, well, that's interesting, but it's so far away that I would say that's kind of inconclusive. That could easily be a guy in a suit. You'd never be able to tell from that distance. But it is totally getting eaten up by internet traffic right now. So for some reason, people are really interested in it. But, Billy, I know that you actually got an email from the fellow, so you know more about it than I do. So what can you add to what I've told?
Well, I really can't add a whole lot. And just so you know, this battery is going dead, so I'm getting ready to switch phones.
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you what, these kids and these phones, what can I tell you? Well, they came down here and got this one. But anyway, I'll tell you what, DB, go ahead and keep talking. This phone's going to cut off on me. I'm going to see if I can find the other one. All
right. Back to emergency Blog Squatcher talking. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about the video. For those who have seen it, I think that most people are a little hesitant to get too excited about it because the creature happens so far in the distance. It's only a 26-second clip, and you see the creature right at about the 17, 18, 15-second mark. He's crossing the creek. And some of the people who have commented on my blog say that it's not taking gigantic steps like you'd expect a Bigfoot to. It just looks like a guy crossing the creek. But he's so far away that I can't really tell whether those are gigantic steps or not. If it is the real thing, I don't see how it really helps us any because it's so far away. Unless the camera used was high quality, high definition camera, and so there's a better version that could be seen than what you see on the YouTube clip. But otherwise, it's not that exciting to me. But it's, for some reason, there's a kind of mini internet frenzy over this particular thing. Is that Billy coming back? Or is that Billy having trouble? Boy, I hope not.
That's Billy having trouble.
I'm going to look at the chat here. Oh, have you got back?
No, that's Billy having trouble. For some reason, this phone won't let me switch phones and turn the other one on.
Huh. That's your new phone, too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So
it's just like you never can get these things to work once you fall into the trap.
Yep.
Of
never fails.
Technology. The technology trap. You're in it. I'm scanning over the chat room to see if anybody had any questions or comments about the Beast of Gum Hill. It looks like a lot of people hadn't seen it yet or known about it yet. They're asking some questions. The Beast of Gum Hill? It is gum, G-U-M, as in chewing gum.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure it's inside.
Nope, there he went. The battery did its service and has died. Well, now maybe Billy will have to call back in. We probably also lost our caller. So, caller, if you can still hear me on your internet connection, you'll have to call back more than likely. Dr. Onion says, I just watched it. What did you think, Dr. Onion? Yeah, a lot of you don't seem to have known about it. That's interesting that it hasn't. I thought with the number. I thought with the number of hits it'd been getting that everybody must know about this thing. Let me see if I'm going to type something here. Are you guys still hearing me? Because the lady, the British lady that you can never hear, she just told me something that would imply that you can't hear me. Well, this is what people are saying. Diane Stocking says, something is there, I just can't tell. It is walking bipedally. John Cartwright says, and this is new, I am the world's greatest Bigfooter. Yes, and John Cartwright says, no, we don't hear you. Well, it's too bad you didn't hear me because I just said you were the world's greatest Bigfooter.
Okay, I think I'm back.
Are you back? Good, because that was bad radio there for about 5 minutes. DB babbles and tries to read the chat at the same time. Very hard to do that.
These kids, I don't know what it is about kids, how they have a problem putting these handsets back on the chargers. And I know I'm not the only one. I know that probably 47 of the users listening to the show probably have the same problem.
Yeah.
But
I imagine that's exactly right. Well, let's get on to the next news item, and then quickly get back to the guest if you still have him on the line.
He's still on the line, yes.
Okay. The last news item was just a short thing. You and I and your brother, Jason, went out doing some field work on April 9th, as you probably well recall.
Yep.
And we heard, but we purposely didn't bring anything with us because we hadn't been to this place in a couple of years, and we just wanted to check it out and see if anything was going to happen down there. So we didn't have any recording equipment. We didn't have any cameras. We just went out there with our ears and just to check it out. So, of course, something happens. But what happened wasn't, like earth-shaking or anything. But we heard these two screams, and it sounded to me, and I think you said this also, it sounded exactly like a woman who is, like, enraged screaming, like she's really peeved, screaming down by the river. She's not screaming any words. She's just screaming, ah, real loud.
Right.
And that was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's, of course, that was our whole plan, was to go in and, without any equipment to see if anything would happen, which I guess we figured out that, something happened. So.
Well, now we know we could go back there and bring some equipment and see if we can record that.
Right. Actually, John, you bring up a good point. That me and JC did hear a red fox up there one time, But John, this was a little different. This one was this didn't sound the same.
No, we know what a red fox sounds like. We also know what a what do you call those little wildcats?
Bobcat.
Bobcat, right. We know what those sound like. This definitely sounded like a bigger thing, and it sounded like a woman who was really mad.
Right.
Screaming. It wasn't a high-pitched scream. It was more like a lower, angry scream, but it did sound like it would have come from a woman or
right.
a small man.
Right. So it was interesting.
And yeah, and then a little later on, I went to visit the edge of the woods to talk to a man about a horse, and something hit the ground right next to me, and at the same time, something hit the ground next to Jason over behind us. But he thought it might, or maybe it was you who said this. You thought it might be a little mouse running around in that case, but yeah, that's a little strange.
Yeah.
Because that has happened in that area before, where you get stuff thrown at you.
Right. Of course, we never really knew exactly what was going on, but we won't go into
well,
that.
If a certain person was with us, we had reason to believe that he might have been doing the throwing. But other than that,
right.
If he's not around, you can't blame him.
That's right.
All right, so that's it for the news, and we can now get right back into talking about Bigfoot Declassified.
Yeah, and just so that everyone knows, just another little quick note, I have developed a website particularly for Sasquatch Watch Radio. The website was put together kind of as an easy place to go if you want to listen to the past shows, if you want to click on the live button instead of going through Blog Talk. It's also designed for those who may have something that they'd like to share with us on Sasquatch Watch Radio. We've got a form on there that you can fill out if you want to be a guest. Tell us why you want to be a guest. We have a little forum on there for folks who may want to send questions for upcoming guests, or if you have comments or suggestions on the show, we have a forum on there on that particular website just for that, as well as other radio show links and other Bigfoot site links and that kind of thing. So just something I threw together. The website is www.sasquatchwatchradio.weebly.com. Again, it's www.sasquatchwatchradio.weebly.com. And I'll put that in the chat here in a few minutes also. So just something, just thought it would be a good idea. Put it on there. Now, without further ado, we would like to welcome our guest, Mr. MP Raymond. MP Raymond is the author of the book, the latest book that has come out called Bigfoot Declassified. Mr. Raymond, welcome to the show.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's great to be with you.
Well, we're glad to have you. I mean, when I first saw your book, can't remember if you had sent me an email. I saw it somewhere, and as soon as I saw your name, I said, well, I'm going to try to get a hold of this fella. I'd like to talk to him about this book. So how about you give us the first question we all got to ask, because I'm sure, as you know, there's been a lot of talk about the book, about whether it's fiction, whether it's nonfiction. So the first thing I want to ask you is a personal question, that question being, do you believe that Bigfoot exists?
Oh, gosh. That's the $100,000 question right there. No, absolutely. There's no question in my mind. When I was a little boy, I remember sitting in the living room floor and watching at night a documentary on Bigfoot, and I think it was around 1970, and I remember they rolled the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and I think that was the moment I was completely hooked on Patty, and from that point on, I've just been grabbing whatever I can as far as literature goes, and kind of just feasting on everything I get my hands on, and so we had a relationship all the way back then and to 2009, and something happened that night, and I could never shake her. I remember I'm also an artist, so I actually have a picture of Patty in my studio, and so we have a relationship going way back to '71.
Right.
So I'm a believer. I'm a believer through and through.
Right. Okay. So key question that everybody has asked, and we'll go ahead and get it out in the open. Is
Okay.
This book that you wrote, is it definitely a book of fiction or a book of nonfiction?
Okay, the book is fiction, but I don't believe fiction is a dirty word when it comes to Bigfoot. I think fiction is a powerful tool, and I think that it opens up a lot of doors. Now, saying that, there are some factual moments throughout the book. There are some things I refer to in the book, and such as the Skookum Cast, and Ape Canyon, and Patterson footage, and Jocko, and so I do touch on some of these things, but I do it through the guise of the government now revealing some information that the average public or average investigator does not have about these specific things. The book is not really based upon that. The book is based basically on new evidence that is coming out in a flux, and the government has a hard time controlling it. And the government in the book, somewhat of a parody on them, but the government has a lot of information on Bigfoot. They've been suppressing information for a long time, and recently there's been a lot of sightings and encounters, and they've been trying to suppress them, but there's one piece of evidence that has come out on the internet and has gone viral, and a young botanist in Oregon has captured some footage of Bigfoot going in and out of her tent, broad daylight, 22 minutes of high-definition footage shot from about 13 feet away. Mm-hmm. And she pans in and out and gets this amazing crystal-clear footage. She, being a scientist, downloads it immediately onto the internet, and boom. Now the government sees this, and they're like, we cannot squash this. We need to do something. We need to step it up. So we need to look at what's at the forefront of this discovery. So they come out. They have a liaison that they've hired that they bring in. That's a government man who puts together this manual to coexist with this now documented species. So the book actually starts out with a introduction that states, off the syndicated New World Press, this would be the situation if Bigfoot was found out to be an actual real creature in this country. This is, and it goes into actually kind of somewhat detail, but it's right off the internet, and it's backed up by military people involved. The next page goes into the actual classification, and it's worded in a very scientific way. It's very officious, and then it goes into the government liaison and why he's been deemed this position and why he's now writing this document. I guess that kind of answers your question. I don't want to go too far ahead here.
Well, no, that does. So,
okay.
So just to make sure I'm following you, this is a fictional character, and that you're talking about that has gotten this footage. Is that correct?
Yes, these people are in this part of the book this is fiction, and the liaison is as well. But the liaison is sent to key spots in the country, mm-hmm. Bigfoot hotspots, I call them. Right. And he goes to the Klamath Mountain Range. He goes to the Cascades Mountains. He goes to Willow Creek. He goes to these places, and he's interviewing. And what we're finding out, and what he finds out, and the government has actually even suppressed him because he doesn't have this level of clearance, is that there's actually a BF eco-habitat that they have designed in the Klamath Mountain Range. And in this habitat, which is, I believe it's a half a mile long, quarter mile wide, it's completely covered enclosure. It's a complete covered facility, super high tech, very secretive, and they actually have, I believe it's 9 creatures they've been studying for 2.5 years. And the book gets really deep into this. And what is important with this is that, I feel, is that we talk about Bigfoot character and Bigfoot traits and personality, and Bigfoot in this book, I actually pay homage to, because I believe in Bigfoot. So Bigfoot is actually a creature with a soul and a heart and sympathy, and we see the human element in this manual as being the thing that Bigfoot has to deal with. Mm-hmm. And you see him being kind of corralled through this system to bring man and beast together. Right. And so we learn a lot of really interesting things about Bigfoot that has come directly from the eco-habitat in studying. and I don't want to give too much away of the book, but I've been getting letters, emails, and I'm surprised people actually write letters still, which is nice.
It is amazing, isn't it?
It's nice to get a handwritten letter, from Australia.
Right.
Yeah, home of the hour, but
right.
It's interesting to hear people that say to me, Mr. Raymond, I'm not really even a Bigfoot enthusiast, but for some reason I was drawn to get this book, or I've been reading the book, and now I am an enthusiast.
Right.
So that's the power of fiction. I mean, to pull people into, and then to actually say, so you're telling me that Ape Canyon is a real place?
Right.
Or that footage I always saw of this Bigfoot walking through the dry, riverbed was actually called the Patterson footage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, the new generation coming through, and a lot of these are young people. Right. They're looking at this thing like, wow, this is kind of unique and very, very, very interesting. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I still find people today who to this day tell me that, oh yeah, we know about the Patterson-Gilman footage. That's that film that was deemed to be a hoax, right?
Yeah. I've heard that before. Yeah.
They do one show. They do one show or documentary to show it a hoax, and all the 40 other documentaries they don't see or they don't keep in their mind.
Absolutely. And that's interesting, and they hold on to that. Well, I think they want to believe that part of some people, 2/3 of this country, almost 2/3 of this country, do not believe.
Right.
So it's interesting that people will have a little piece. I've heard so many people say, "Oh, but they already know who was in that suit. That's a hoax."
Right.
And I'm like, the more studying they do on this piece of film footage, the more they realize it's authentic.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's interesting too. I remember hearing a long time ago Patterson on the radio. I didn't hear it live, but I heard a tape of him talking about Patty. And it's interesting that a lot of people don't know that. From what I remember, that he said, and I held on to this little piece of information for some reason. I remember hearing it like when I was a kid, that Patty, when he went around the corner, with Gimlin behind him, that she was actually squatting in the river, in the creek, and then I remember thinking, and I remember reading, I think Dr. Krantz might have mentioned this too, that there's a possibility that they defecate in water, and to hide their traces. And I actually worked that into the book. I tried to work a lot of actual Bigfoot informational things into the manual to try to give it more of a feel of authenticity. But that's in there as well.
Right. All right, very good. DB, was there any questions from the chat?
I have not noticed any.
How about you? Do you have any questions from Mr. Raymond?
Well, actually, somebody made a comment, and I kind of agree with it, that the government probably does know things, although, how high that knowledge would rise, I don't know. But we do know that in our area, out at the Quantico Marine Base, there was in the 1950s something called the Asa monster, where some soldiers saw a creature on the Marine base somewhere near an ammunition dump, and it caused them some stress, and the military. Or at least the fellow in charge of the base told them they weren't allowed to talk about it after the news got out. So there are people in the government who know, or at least have known about it. I don't know how far and wide that knowledge would be, but I don't think that's an incredible point of view.
Reach, yeah, interesting.
Well,
interesting. I just wonder how deep it goes.
Right. Well, I don't know if you knew this, Mr. Raymond, but I've been told by some folks from the Army that there's an Army document, a booklet apparently that the Army carries that has the definition of Bigfoot in it.
Yes, I was aware of that. Yeah, it's interesting.
So
now, why put that in there?
Right.
If it's not, if it's a leprechaun, wearing green shoes and a little green hat, are we going to put that in the manual?
Right.
No, because the chances of us running into one is zero. But why put Bigfoot in that? That's very interesting.
Right. Yeah, I'd love to see a copy of that, but obviously I don't know if I'll ever see that. But
you and the rest of the public, yeah.
But anyway, all right, folks. Just for those who are listening live, because I know not everybody listens to looks at the chat room. If you want to call in tonight and ask Mr. Raymond a question about his book or about what he believes, you can call in at 347-237-5070. Again, that number is 347-237-5070. I want to ask you this, Mr. Raymond. Have you ever done any research yourself? Do you ever go out into the field and just look around in the woods or
Oh gosh, yeah. There was actually a time where I lived up in Maine for a while, and I actually I saw, we have a few horses. We had a few horses up in Maine, and I actually saw 3 footprints when I was up there. We had a heavy rain, and then about 12 hours of the sun came out and dried a lot of it up, and there were 3 prints, and one of them was on a hill, and it looked like a foot had gone up and slid down. And I was really looking closely at it for dermal ridges and inclusions, and I was taking out my Grover Krantz, Big Footprints book, and I was looking, and I actually contacted Lauren Cohen, but I never got a response. But it was really interesting. And then I was planning on trying to get some plaster, to make something, and then sure enough, we had another rain, and took care of that. And not a lot of sightings in Maine, of course, but there are some. So that was one time. And then when I was a kid, I had heard a horrific scream behind our house. We had a reservoir and a pretty big reserve back there, and it went for miles and miles of just terrain. And one night about 11:30 at night, I was out in the backyard, and I was probably about, I would say maybe 11, and I heard this scream, this horrible, high-pitched scream, but also at the same time kind of guttural, and had a real deep bass to it. I remember it so clearly. It started off deep and it went off, and it ended off very shrill. Mm-hmm. But it had a tremendous volume to it, and it made me feel like the sound, the origin of the sound was probably 10 or 15 feet in the darkness, which meant it probably was about 40 feet away from me.
All right.
And the hair on my neck raised up, and I clenched my fists, and the breath came out of my body, and I just stood there, and I couldn't even move. And it did it twice. The first time it did it, and then there was a pause of about maybe 8 seconds, and then it let go again. And I ran into the house, and never heard it again. Told my parents, and I guess my parents thought I was, making it up or something.
Right.
But I was pale as a ghost. My dad even said, he says, "Wow, that's interesting, Mike. You actually you look very pale here. Something was out there." So.
All right. Well, we've got our. Believe it or not, we've got our first caller.
Excellent.
Let me get them on here. Caller from the 513 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, Billy, this is Jody Cook.
Hey, Jody, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, buddy. How are you?
Doing just fine. Good to hear from you.
Listen, I'm listening to it. It's a fantastic show. Now, when the gentleman there, your guest, when he did his research, did he, contacted like the federal government under like the Freedom of Information or anything like that? Because, through my research, I wrote the FBI under the Freedom of Information Act about Bigfoot, and they sent me like 22 documents that were, most of them were kind of blacked out, but they stated that they have over 2,000 classified documents that they can't release, dealing with the subject of Bigfoot. And there's also, they call them serials, like Serial 1, Serial 2, all the way up to, I think, like Serial 12. But Serial 4, the one that had actual photographs and some of the other documents, came up missing through sterilization of the files, in which they can't locate. And I was wondering if he ran into any of that when he was doing his research.
Well, this is Jody?
Yeah.
Okay, hi, Jody. I had gone that approach. I Googled and I'd gone through and I tried to get as much stuff as I could, but I kept hitting walls all the way through the process. And I don't think I got as far as the information that you got. But I just decided at one point, enough's enough. And that actually was the impetus behind the whole thing of me really getting really curious. And like, this is interesting. There's something going on here. So I started just using my imagination to one point. And then I started pulling from stuff that I already knew from,
right.
46 years of studying Bigfoot on my own. So Yeah, I remember getting a bunch of stuff that it looked like I was being pacified, like they were just kind of tapping me on the head.
Well, I when I spoke with the FBI, and I was asking them, I said, you in your paperwork that you sent me, you state you have 2,000 classified documents. Okay, can you give me somewhat of an idea what why these documents are classified? And the FBI said, well, it's a situation like this. You may have 5 or 6 FBI agents, okay, doing an investigation on a certain area or something like that, and one of them may have seen a Bigfoot, or ran into a Bigfoot on government property, or something like that, and they, it's an ongoing investigation, or they can't release the information because of the protection of the federal agents that are undercover. In which, I can understand it makes sense, but, for them to have 2,000 classified documents,
Absolutely.
meaning that, you got 2,000 incidents, with federal agents running into something of Bigfoot, either on federal land or through some type of federal investigation. So there's something to that. Now, to get back to the military part, now I spent 15 years in the Army. I'm an Iraq War veteran. And I've met guys from the 2nd Ranger Battalion, that were out of Fort Lewis, Washington, that stated that when they're in the field, they see these things, and they have to document this stuff. They've got people in the military that does go out in areas to document this stuff. I even heard the FBI even has a team that that does this, and through one of my findings that on documentation through the FBI, apparently at the incident at Ruby Ridge, one of the snipers stated that he had a Bigfoot in his sight because this thing was tracking one of the other snipers that were out in the field, at this incident. But I have not found any information on that, backing that up. It's just, hearsay.
Yeah, well, good luck with that,
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, that there was a time where I remember reading something, too, and something they sent was they did some thermal imaging, and they had come up with some imaging that was not conclusive with people, with men. There were no men in this vicinity. It was about 7 miles in the interior, and they had these big, I think it was 3 or 4 images that they could not identify.
Right.
I thought that was kind of. I got goosebumps when I was reading this thing. Like, what the heck is out there? And it was big. They said.
I've talked to individuals that work for the Army Corps of Engineers. Okay, and these are older gentlemen that were retired, and they stated that during the 1950s, during the Cold War, okay, the federal government were looking into the caverns and the caves as far as, can they go from east to west, north to south, things like that. If there was a nuclear war, would be enough, area to put, the population down there for protection. So allegedly they sent these teams in to find out how far these caverns go, and how deep they are, oxygen, level and sulfur level and things like that. And apparently they found bodies of large primates, that were, very human looking, very tall, very heavy, that were, the bodies were, how can I describe it, were because of the sulfur, they were mummified more or less, but they were still preserved, and this is supposed to have taken place back in the 50s. And, these guys swear that, that this incident happened. But I tried under the Freedom of Information Act to find information about this. And, I've had I've had letters sent back from the FBI and the federal government saying, just, you're not going to get any of this. So just back it off, basically.
Forget about it.
We're not going to give you this information. It's like, well, how classified is Bigfoot? I mean, I can understand the fact that, if you got ongoing investigations and you're protecting agents and things like that, but, Bigfoot can't be. I mean, what is it that makes him so classified? What makes him so much of a threat?
He's a natural element to this country, He's a
well,
natural element.
I think it's money, too, because, like here in Ohio, I know, I wrote the Ohio Division of Wildlife, and they swear up and down that they have nothing in their, documents. But, I know 45 people, a little over 45 people that have filed reports with the Ohio Division of Wildlife. Now, Division of Wildlife says, we don't have them. And I told the Division of Wildlife, well, if you don't have them, you got people giving you a report, you don't take them, that's a felony if you discard those.
Right.
Exactly. Those reports. And, it all comes down to a money issue, because then if there is something here, they're going to have to come up with funding to protect it. And,
right.
It's better off for them to say, hey, we don't know nothing about it. But I was just, like I said, I was just curious about when you did your research, did you do anything as far as Freedom of Information Act, and, did you get any, stonewalling, trying to find your information?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, lots of walls and doors slammed, and so I just said, you know what, I'm going to take it to, if you're not going to give me any information, then I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to expand on my own and be as as tightly as I can on information that I do know. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, what's really underneath the, peel back some of the layers of the onion, and let's see what's really back there. It's very fascinating stuff.
Well, it's the same thing like Mount St. Helens, where apparently the bodies, allegedly bodies were found there. After Mount St. Helens,
I've heard that too. Yeah. Yep. And they were mummified. Yeah. Yeah,
mummified bodies. And things, and it's just like we'll never know. But I'd rather not know, because I'd rather keep the mystery alive.
Well, it's interesting, Jody. Check out the book and see what you think, because there's some, like, the Ape Canyon thing is very interesting. I actually put a twist on that, and I'm going to tell you something.
The whole incident with Ape Canyon, I don't know. To me, Fred Beck, I read his book and stuff, I just think that whole incident was made up due to the fact that these guys were out there trying to, get gold. They wanted to stake their claim. They don't want no one in the area. And I think they made the story up to keep people out. Now, as far as Ape Canyon itself, I'm sure there's definitely something going on there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was no point of reference at that point either. Remember that?
Right.
In 1922, so I believe it was 22. And, so you think about, like, well, what is this going to cause? Is this going to cause people to really stay away? Or is this going to cause more people to be fascinated? Because people are fascinated, not only with the Bigfoot, because there was no name Bigfoot in 1922 anyway, but, just the fact that what the heck is out there, and it's like, you tell a kid, don't open this one window in the house. You can open any other window you want, but not this one window. That's the window they want to open. So I don't know, but I heard that these men, from testimonies of people, were terrified. So, yeah, Jody, you might be right. I mean, you might be right. And but as far as for an author, I wanted to work on that, play on that, because.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think your book's I can't wait to get your book, because I think it's stories. I think it's just completely fascinating, and and things. And like I said, good luck with it, with everything, and I hope you be able to get some more information out and things. But I appreciate you taking the time and talking with me on this.
Oh, it's great. It's been great talking to you, Jody. Thank you.
All right, take care. Billy, you take care, buddy.
Thanks, bud.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, we got the lines on hot, buddy. We got some callers on hold, so let me get to the next one here. I believe this may be Mr. Henry May down in Mississippi.
That would be me, Billy. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Henry. You got a question for Mr. Raymond?
I wanted to make a correction. It was actually 1924 when the Ape Canyon incident allegedly happened, not 1922.
Okay. I'm bad. Okay. Thank you for the correction.
No problem, Jody. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2.5 weeks.
Actually, that's Mr. Raymond you're talking to right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, I wanted to ask the author, as far as what inspired the subject of the book, as far as Bigfoot Declassified. It almost seems like it could be a nonfiction book, but obviously you confessed that it was fiction. So,
well,
what was kind of the impetus behind that?
Well, first of all, I wanted the book to look very officious. I wanted to look like it was sitting on some senator's desk and had been classified for a number of years. And I always fantasized about the idea that, what if the government really did have all this great information where we're out there struggling trying to find footprints, and trying to get a little glimpse of a Bigfoot, and they've got 6 or 7 in an actual facility they've been studying. So, I mean, I was fascinated by that. And also, I have read, Hendon and Green and Krantz and Meldrum. I've read, and Lauren Coleman. I've read all these great books. And then I started getting to a point where a lot of the books I had been reading, and not the gentleman I just spoke of, but a lot of books that were coming out tended to be more rehashes of the same stories. And I said, I think we need a book that really shakes a little bit, shakes people up a little bit, really makes people think in a different direction, and actually stirs people with a message. Like maybe we could spoil this. Maybe we could really paint this creature if we try to put it in a cage, if we try to put it under a magnifying glass. Be very, very careful when dealing with Bigfoot, because Bigfoot has been here long before us and probably long after us too. So we can learn a lot, and I really love the harmonious thing that some of the Indian tribes have, and I think that harmonious thing I think we need to keep, and I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do the book. I wanted it to be kind of like, be careful about what we trust, the government with. Be careful, and I'm not saying the government's a bad entity here at all, but I'm just saying be careful with the higher-ups and the decisions they make and how quickly they make them when regarding an organic organism, and meaning Bigfoot. So I think I wanted to see this book out there, and no one was writing it. So I said, the heck with it, I'm going to write it. So there you go.
All right. Very good.
All right, Henry, it was great talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Henry.
Hello?
Hello?
Still there?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, of course, to the two events that are coming up: the Ohio Bigfoot Conference in 2.5 weeks, and then the Yakima Bigfoot Roundup in 4.5 weeks.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to it. Well, anyway, thanks for answering my questions there, Mr. Raymond, and interesting show tonight, guys.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Henry.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
All right, Henry. All right. DB, I got 2 more callers. Do you have any questions pending there?
To be absolutely frank, I have not seen any, but I have been looking away a little bit.
Okay.
Somebody, if anybody has asked a question and I didn't catch it, you might want to repeat it in all capitals so that I'll see it, because I'm, you know what it's all about. You got to get my attention and everything. But yeah, I don't have anything at this moment.
All right. The only thing I did see in there was John Cartwright wanted to make sure that Mr. Raymond knew that he was the world's best Bigfooter, but
that Mr. Raymond was, or that
JC wanted Mr. Raymond to know that he was the best. Okay.
I have heard that.
Have you?
See, everybody has.
Yeah.
The legend precedes him.
It continues
His legend is growing large.
JC, I asked it. He's putting bold letters to you, DB. Okay. Area code 936. You're on the air.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
You got a cold tonight, Billy?
No, I do not. It's probably my sorry phone system.
Oh, is that what it is? Your voice sounds a little off or something. All right. I was just going to say to Raymond, your book may be coming to light in a way you may not be aware of. Recently, a former government crypto-linguist named Scott Nelson began transcribing recordings of that people have, particularly Ron Moorhead, of Bigfoot. And he's been able to transcribe and detect articulation and language in the recordings. And he's also submitted that the tapes to his colleagues, and they have confirmed and backed up what he has transcribed on paper with the recordings.
Wow, that's exciting.
So I didn't know if you were aware of that or not, but
no,
he was recently on a I believe it was on St. Patrick's Day. He was on a blog talk show here, giving his findings on the transcriptions that he did. He can detect inflection and negation in the speech they're making. Correct me if I'm wrong, Billy.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Correct me if I'm wrong about what I'm saying here about Scott Nelson.
No. They are claiming that that there's speech or language in the Sierra Sounds.
Okay.
So yeah.
And he's also opened up the doors to take in more recordings, and people are submitting them from different parts of the country, from what they got, from different sounds when they were on expeditions or whatnot. So what you've written may be coming to light as we speak, because there's former government employee right there that's transcribing tapes and trying to prove that the Bigfoot people have language.
There you go. Well, interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
There's a lot of theories now going around about that, about Bigfoot. There's always, of course, been a debate whether the thing's an ape or a human. But I'm hearing more and more people coming forward, saying human, screaming human. So, it's definitely interesting to see how the theories unfold.
I think it comes down to what people's experiences are. You know what I mean?
Right.
If they're out there in the woods just enjoying nature and on a hiking trip, or they're camping somewhere and they have a chance encounter, they're probably not going to be too scared. They'll be a little freaked out. But, a hunter that's out there with a gun or something might have an aggressive experience. So he's naturally going to think that they're an ape or something. So I think it comes down to people's experiences when they have them.
Right.
I could be wrong.
That makes sense, I think, yeah.
All right, well, I just thought I'd throw that in there. I won't show up or anything, but...
All right. Thanks a lot.
Just remember the name Scott Nelson there, Raymond.
Thank you. Thank you for the call.
All right, good night.
Thanks a lot. All right, and then we got one more caller here. Caller from... Whoops, hit the wrong button. Caller from the 419 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
That must be Indy.
Yep, that's me.
How you doing?
Doing all right.
You got a question? You got a question for Mr. Raymond, or are you just listening in?
I was just listening in, but it's been an interesting show. Where can one pick up his book at?
Go ahead and tell us, Mr. Raymond. Where can we get that book?
You can get the book at Amazon.com. You can get the book at BarnesandNoble.com. You can get the book at Target.com. So you don't even have to leave your home. You just get it right online. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target all have the book. And it's doing pretty well, too. Got a lot of nice reviews, and a lot of people are liking it, so I'm very pleased, And it's an exciting time right now because it's, like I said before, it's bringing in a lot of people that normally wouldn't be looking at a Bigfoot book, which is exciting. And then there are some enthusiasts that have picked it up and said, it actually honors Bigfoot. And so that makes me very proud, because that was my goal. My goal was to basically to show Bigfoot in a different light, and something that is basically the victim of a man-beast, kind of interaction, and something, like I said, we could learn from. Because I'm sure that there is going to be a classification one day, and that this is going to be a documented species one day, and hopefully this is something that it is somewhat of a parody, but there is some truth through it. So.
Right. Now it's called Bigfoot Declassified.
Correct.
Okay, I'll have to look for that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right. You want me to just leave you on mute, Andy?
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you real quick. We went out a little bit this weekend for, looking down around in central Kentucky. We stopped at a couple places down there. Didn't find no Bigfoot trails, but we found what they call the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
Right.
We hit the distilleries.
You haven't seen no Bigfoot hanging around there drinking, did you?
No, but I'll tell you what, around the distilleries down there, some of them, it's prime Bigfoot country. I mean, you've got streams and woods and nothing but hollers and streams and woods and lakes for days.
Right. Well, I know Kentucky's a pretty wild place, so that fits the bill pretty good for Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah,
all
right.
Right.
Put me back on mute, and I'll just enjoy the rest of the show.
All right. Thanks a lot, Andy, for calling in.
All right. Oh, bye.
All righty. We got, you got any questions there, DB?
Nope. not
Okay.
well. Let me scroll down here and see if I missed anything because I was looking away again. Well, they're giving me the business down there, though. Why are you looking away, DB?
Well, I'll tell you what. While you're looking through there. And,
No, there aren't any more.
Okay. While you're anyway, what we'll do, Mr. Raymond, we're going to go to a quick commercial, kind of give everybody a breather break, and JC always likes to go and pee. He always needs a bathroom break at about the midway of the show or whatever. Of course, I went a little further than that, but anyway, we'll go to break, and as soon as we get back from the commercial, then I'm sure that I'm gonna have some more questions for you.
Excellent.
So,
Okay.
Folks, we will be back in just a few minutes after these messages.
Sasquatch Watch Radio. Stay tuned. Don Keating, the Eastern Ohio Bigfoot Investigation Center, and the Tri-State Bigfoot Study Group are proud to announce the return of the world's longest-running Bigfoot Conference to Ohio the weekend of May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2009. The 21st Annual Bigfoot Conference returns to Salt Fork State Park Convention Center and Lodge located in Guernsey County, just outside of Cambridge, Ohio. Festivities for the weekend event kick off May 1st with a meet and greet gathering with guest speakers, fellow researchers, and enthusiasts in the first floor lounge at 8 p.m. Saturday, May 2nd is the date for the 21st Annual Bigfoot Conference to be held in the first floor conference room and will run from 4 to 10 p.m. with an hour break for dinner. This year's tentative guest speaker lineup includes Diane Stocking from Portland, Oregon, Billy Willard from Manassas, Virginia, and from TV's Monster Quest, producer Doug Hychek, with additional speakers to be announced. No admission charge is anticipated, however, reserved seating is available for purchase. The three-day event wraps up on Sunday, May 3rd, as Don Keating will host an afternoon guided tour of various sighting and track discovery locations throughout Salt Fork State Park. Special accommodation rates are available for those interested by contacting the Salt Fork State Park Lodge at 740-439-2751 and ask for the Bigfoot Conference Special. Additional information is available by emailing Don Keating at eobic@yahoo.com or by visiting the website at eobic.net. Mark your calendars and make plans now to attend the world's longest running Bigfoot Conference by coming to the 21st Annual Bigfoot Conference, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2009, at the Salt Fork State Park in southeastern Ohio.
welcome back, folks. It was nice to have a little break there. We've still got Mr. Raymond with us, correct?
Correct. I'm right here.
All right, good deal. DB, was there any questions while we were on break?
I haven't seen any, no. I mean,
Okay.
they're talking about boobies and stuff, so.
Well, good Lord,
and
we
they
know
wonder why I'm not riveted to the chats.
Good Lord, we know that takes precedence over Bigfoot.
Right.
Wanted to go.
Oh.
All right. Well, anyway, we'll get back to the topic at hand, folks. We'll get your minds off of the stuff that JC's telling you about, and let's get our minds back on Bigfoot. I tell you what, this chat room, sometimes I wonder.
It's out of control. I don't have the power to ban anybody. That's why it's out of control. You need to give me the power to ban.
All you got to do is sign in under my name. You can ban away.
I think I might have to do that.
All right, Mr. Raymond. Well, I tell you what, you've been, let's see, how many years did you say that you've really been interested in studying the subject?
Well, I'm 47, so I've been interested since I was about 9, since the Patterson footage. So yeah,
a long time.
Yeah.
I'm sure that over that period of time that you've probably come up with your own thoughts or theories on this creature.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking earlier about if Smiter had called in and was talking about these things, how they're claiming that they have speech and can have language. And what do you think about the whole human/ape deal? What is your thoughts? Which way do you lean? What do you think this thing is?
Well, I think I lean more towards, kind of like the John Green, Meldrum way. I think I kind of go more towards human versus animal, if I had to go in one direction. But there are some things, we've never really seen them using tools other than throwing rocks, and occasionally a stick, but twisting treetops and things like that. Defecating in water, if that in fact did happen in Patterson footage, obviously not in the footage, but before Patterson started filming, that's a higher functioning trait. So I would have to say more human. I mean, a lot of people have commented, as you and all your guests, all your listeners know, a lot of hunters have had them in their sights and have not shot because they look human. So I think I lean more that way. And for some reason, to me, I think that sometimes that's actually even more horrific on one level, seeing something that's vaguely out of the realm of being human, and looking into those eyes, those dark eyes. I mean, that to me really, it really reminds me that I'm still a little boy inside. It scares the heck out of me. But it's probably why I'm so fascinated with them. But I think it would be an incredible shame if a hunter actually shot one. I don't really go with Dr. Grover Krantz's view on shooting one. I don't really think that. We don't know how many are out there, so we have to be extremely careful with them.
Actually, isn't it? Diane Stocking had brought up a point. Wasn't it? I think Meldrum and Green kind of follow the Gigantopithecus blackie theory, if I'm not mistaken.
They
am
do.
I correct in that, DB?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they would actually be the non-human contingents. You just have that flipped around there. They think that Bigfoot is a gigantic ape. The people who go for the human now, I'm drawing a blank, but I know this stuff. I can go look it up and come back and talk about it if you guys are interested.
Well,
I have something. Billy, I get something on this one. In my book, I refer to Gigantopithecus blackie, Gigantopithecus giganto, and the classification in my book. Would you like me to read it to you? It's not that long.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, the classification, it says, second page of the book, due to recent events, Gigantopithecus caracus has been added in the official list of known living species by the International Zoological Society. Chairman of the IZS and renowned paleontologist Dr. Reuben Ainsworth made this astounding announcement at the Society's recent biannual meeting. He indicated that genus Giganopithecus, including Blackie, Barabbas, and Gigantus, have long been considered extinct, yet Caracas seems to have branched off and managed to survive as a living, viable species. For centuries, reports and sightings were once thought to be fictitious, fabricated and of isolated origin. However, these events are now considered widely to be authentic. Newly reported information has surfaced and documentation has been acquired which indicates physical evidence to support and confirm the existence of this species. This evidence comes in the form of valid recorded information from various locations throughout the global community, newly captured living species as well. These specimens have been studied via physical identification, DNA coding, and with a new universal classification method. At this time, the validation of this species has been affirmed. Giganopithecus caracas, most commonly known as Bigfoot, has been entered as classification number 4762119 on March 31st, 2000 ***. So, what I did from this book was I branched away from the big ape, kind of Giganopithecus blackie, and I have Caracas, which is one step closer to the human animal, and also a little bit smaller. So when I say smaller, I still mean 8 feet. Right. I believe Blackie was around 9 feet high. So I actually stepped away from that, and I created my own line for this because I feel that we haven't really seen Bigfoot in a skeleton form yet, and I don't believe it's Blackie. Personally, I believe it's something closer to man that we haven't seen. And in the book, I also get into why we haven't found the bones, and we haven't found a lot of hard physical evidence to support that. And anyway, that was my view. I just wanted to share that.
Good deal. Let me grab this other caller that's on the line.
Great.
Caller from the 318 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, Billy.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What I was going to ask Raymond is, does he believe that throughout the country, state land set aside, okay, whether it be state forest or federal land, is in fact land set aside for Bigfoot?
Is it land that's set aside by the government for Bigfoot?
Right.
That was the question?
Right.
I don't really know. I don't have a comment on that. I'm sure there is some land that's set out by the government as reserves.
My basis on this is this. Mm-hmm. Okay. A lot of researchers, use state and federal land to research their, Bigfoot research. Okay, mm-hmm. But is that coincidence, or is it in fact that land was set aside years ago because they already knew they were there?
Well, that's interesting. I never really thought about that. I think that if there was land that was set aside and that they knew had Bigfoot on there, I think that the government probably would be trying to keep people off of it. That's my view. The opposite. Well, I don't think that they would welcome people to run into them.
Well, it's not not to say you're going to let people off of it, or you're not going to let it be commercialized.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. Interesting.
That's interesting. Never really thought of it.
I mean,
that's a possibility. Yeah.
I mean, that I've been having this thought for a few months, and it floors because a whole lot of research is going on federal land, which I understand that people don't have access to private land.
Right.
Okay. But is the coincidence that, or is it, that the government already knew that it was going on?
Right. So it's their way of isolating it, I see.
Right.
Yeah. It makes sense. Could be, yeah. Mm-hmm. Excellent, yeah.
That's all I had.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good thought.
All right. Good night. Great show.
Yep, thanks a lot. I tell you, the more I hear, you hear a lot of people have some really interesting thoughts, some things that kind of intrigue you every now and then that, you don't really think about. But I'm not sure. You know what, Evelyn, I'm sorry. I forgot to get the name of the caller. I'm not 100% sure who that was. But I should have found out. If they're in the chat room, hopefully they'll let us know who they were. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. I do have to say. DB, did I see a question roll through earlier?
Well, if you did, I did not. I was busy handling the controversy over whether JC's behind is as smooth as a baby. You see what I have to do here.
I see what you have to deal with. I tell you, I feel bad for you, man. I really do.
I'm not getting paid enough for this.
I know what you're dealing with, buddy. Just think, I got to spend a few days with him here this week. So.
Okay. Good luck to you.
Yeah, exactly. So. All right. What about Mr. Raymond? Did you say have you had a sighting?
No, I never have. Never seen them.
Okay.
Nope.
You've never had a sighting. Okay.
No, I wish I could, but I wish I could say I have.
You do think you've heard them? I mean, because you talked about vocalizations. Okay.
Yeah. That was at one time. Yeah.
Right. What is your theory on these wood knocks? What do you think wood knocks are? Do you think are they the ones responsible for these wood knocks?
What do I think about them? I think that they're. I think it's real.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, absolutely. No question in my mind on that one.
Right. I know. I mean, what is your theory? Do you think it's a form of communication for them? Is it a warning?
I think it's a frustration thing. I think it's frustration only. I don't think they're communicating in any kind of code.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think. I think the intensity. I do think. Well, I shouldn't say they're not communicating. They are communicating in a way. They're communicating as far as letting maybe two different groups know there's something going on.
Right.
But I don't think they can. It's not a code thing. That's my feeling. But I think it's aggression. I think it's you're in my area and I don't like it. I need you to leave my area. I think it's the same thing as the twisting of treetops and saplings. I think that's nothing but frustration. Now I don't mean anger, because if you look at Patty when she moves, we can tell so much from that footage. This is a creature just wants to leave the area.
Right.
It's not aggressive. It just wants to get out of where man is right now. And I think that's what the twisting of trees and the wood knocks are. And the throwing of rocks. It's not to hit us. I think it's just to let them know that, that something out here is irritated. And
that's what they do whenever DB comes around. They throw rocks.
Does it get rid of them?
And then they take a big stick and bang it on the tree. That idiot is here again.
Everybody get out. That has happened to me. Yes, it has.
Oh gosh.
Oh, you guys are too much.
You got to have fun with it, I tell you.
You do. You do.
If you don't, you'll go nuts with some of the stuff that goes on. But we're. I had a question. It was a darn good one. I can't remember what it was. But DB, I think I saw a question roll through.
Somebody was asking about whether Mr. Raymond had a sighting. Now, he just said he didn't, but then they were saying, well, what about the eyes, the eye shine?
Did you see eye shine?
Well, here's the thing on that. I don't really know. There have been times where I have seen eye shine in my car in Maine and on the way to Maine at night, so off the highway and stuff. And it's the kind of thing where I'm not quite sure. I could have been looking at something, but it could have been there's a lot of moose, so it's hard to say that height, But that's actually a good question. That has happened to me a couple times where I'm not quite sure, and I glance back over and the eyes are gone. Usually close to the highway, up in the Maine area.
Right.
You never know, right? You never know.
You never know. That's
no,
very
you don't.
True. I know the other little quick piece of information that this may interest DB just a little bit. I just now remembered it and recalled it, speaking about driving up the road. Jason called me today. He was driving through Quantico last night, and as he went around the sharp curve, and I think you know where I'm talking about.
Right.
He went around the sharp curve. He says that he heard a sound that was extremely loud enough he had his windows up and he could hear it in the car.
Huh.
And this was at like 12:30. So I don't know that they're doing any kind of testing up there at 12:30. So I'm not 100% sure what he heard, but he said it was loud enough that he heard it inside the car. So I don't know what kind of research we can do to find out if they're doing something, but I fail to believe they'd be doing anything at 12:30, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, that you would be able to hear. I mean, where that road passes is really pretty far away from where the Marines usually are having their activity. So
Correct.
That you would be able to hear in your car on that road. I mean, I would think that wouldn't have anything to do with what the Marines were doing.
Right. I don't think so either, but who knows, But I thought it was pretty interesting. He just happened to mention that. But let me ask you this, Mr. Raymond. Do you think this creature will be discovered in our lifetime?
In my lifetime. Yes, I do actually. I think because of land encroachment and deforestation, and I think that with the way we're doing things now in our environment, I think that his world is shrinking every day. And I think eventually, I think probably the next 25 years, I think we're going to have a classification, documentation. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned that you talked in your book about why we don't find remains, and I know there's a lot of theories out there, and a lot of very possible theories, as a matter of fact, about why we don't find remains. Do you care to share your thoughts on why we don't find any bones or any bodies in the woods?
Well, there's two things on that. I can give you my view, and then I can give you kind of what the slant on the book is. But what my view is, and actually it's not that far from the books, is that we actually that the Bigfoot creature actually buries their dead. And once again, another higher functioning trait. But I think even Peter Byrne was pretty solid on this. He believed kind of the same thing, and I think that it gets into it in the book a little bit, but there's actually one discovery that happens in the book, and it's kind of almost a mass grave that's actually somewhat underground, and it gets discovered by two hikers, and pretty fascinating how it looks in the book. But I do believe that, and I do believe that Bigfoot carries off their dead. Obviously, I believe that if they're feeling that they're going to be going, I believe they do go to an area where there are other Bigfoot in case they do die. I think Bigfoot tries to conceal its footprints, if possible. If not rushed away and can't do that, such as Patty couldn't do that at that time. And once again, Byrne believes this too. I believe, and I think that in the same belief, I think they will try to conceal their dead.
Right. Yeah, and plus I think, just like I know that we're kind of discussing the animal/human factor, but even animals, when they know it's their time, and they do know,
Exactly.
We see dogs and cats. They don't just die anywhere. They'll go somewhere deep or by water, or they'll go somewhere when they know it's that time, and just lay down. And I'm sure these things are picking areas that are nowhere near where humans just walk around, and as we all know from the documentary that was on not too long ago, that even a deer carcass can completely disappear, bones and all, within 2 weeks.
That's right.
And so,
porcupines will actually eat.
What's the chances of running across something like that within the 2 week period or whatever that it takes for something to completely decompose?
And on top of that, plus you're talking about a creature that's not high up the food. Well, it's not as high up the food chain as Bigfoot. So Bigfoot probably has a larger brain pan. Right. So and they're more social. I'm sure. So they're going to probably be close in vicinity with other ones, unless you have a rogue Bigfoot that is just roaming on its own. And I think you're right. Even he would probably go to some kind of cave or shelter. Right. Die if you get to that point. Yeah. Interesting topic, Yeah,
it is. I think we got our caller back from the 318 area code. You're on the air.
Billy, I'm sorry. I just thought I told you my name.
Who is this?
This is Jay from Louisiana.
Oh, okay. Now we know who you are. I should have asked you what your name was. I didn't even think about it.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess it was my bad too. I just wanted to call and tell you that to identify myself. I don't have any scientific data for this. It's just something I thought of.
Right. Well, no, I think it's an interesting thought. Matter of fact, you intrigued a lot of people in the chat room. Everybody was like, it's really something that it was a good thought. Really was.
Yeah, they stopped talking about boobies for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you kind of caught everybody off guard because they were talking about boobies, and then all of a sudden you come up with this thought, and they're like,
Well, DB, I didn't mean to do that to you. I'm sorry.
No, we appreciate it. We want more of those moments. Thank you very much.
It goes deeper than that, but I won't go into it tonight. It's a bigger picture.
Right.
If y'all can view it, but that's something that I thought of. It's like all of your main researches are generated on national parks or state-run areas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's where I came. I did it off of what y'all say and what all the radio shows that I listen to, and just general data.
Right. Well, you've really intrigued people in the chat room. Evelyn Daly's wanting to know, why do you think this? Because she says she's had the same thought. She really wants to know why you think this.
Why do I think this? Because I think that the government is hiding it from us. Generally, that's why. I know
a lot of people have heard, because this discussion's happened before, and a lot of people say, what is the reason? What would be the reason that the government would have to hide these creatures? There would have to be a reason that they would want to hide these creatures from the public. And I guess I'm always interested in hearing what people think the government's reason for that would be.
Okay, if I would tell you, you would hang up on me on a second.
Come on. Well, maybe we need to get you on the show so we can discuss it.
It won't take that long to hang up on me. I'm serious.
See, he's got me really interested now. He's got me really.
If there's anybody in the world who would not hang up on you, it's Billy Willard. So you're safe. I'm nowhere near the button. There's nobody else anywhere near. Billy's the only one who's got the hang up button, so you're safe.
Okay, I'm really not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, But what I believe is the government is forwarding through eugenics, so therefore we're looking for maybe not humans' past, but humans' future.
I got to make sure I'm following you.
I think I get that. You're saying that the government is experimenting to find a new form of human that would be able to survive in the future in a Bigfoot.
What I'm saying is the Bigfoot or their enemy. They cannot control them. They can control us, obviously.
I see.
Okay. But they can't control them.
And they would want control of them for what reason?
They can't control them.
I know, but why would they want to control them? I guess that's where I'm confused.
Why would they want to control them?
Right. Are you saying that the government can control us?
So they can control the world? It's not our government, Billy. It's not our government. It's not ours.
You definitely got me interested. You definitely got me interested. But I guess that'll be another subject for another day.
I know. That's why I asked you not to ask me that question, because I need.
Well,
I'll be thrown into left field.
Right.
But just think about the first thing I told you, and just I don't know how to progress on that. I mean, ask me another question. I'll try to help you out.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. I will get back to Mr. Raymond, but I am going to. Do I have your email address?
Doubt it.
I tell you what. Do you mind shooting me an email? Because I'd like to maybe have a email discussion with you on this, if
Sure.
I could.
Anytime.
My email address. My email address is bwillard@sasquatchwatch.net.
Yeah, I got it. I got your website book, boy.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'd definitely like to kind of discuss that with you.
No
problem. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, well, y'all be careful.
Yep, you too.
Later.
Well, that's definitely interesting. That's an interesting theory, and I have to admit to you guys, that's the first time I've heard that one. So interesting. What do you say, DB?
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, I'm not sure that I would have to hear more about what he was trying to say, but I mean, I'm not sure I would agree that that we are somehow completely controlled by the government, and then Bigfoot's the one who isn't. I mean, that from what I gathered from it, it seems to me like America is pretty, except that we all love to watch TV and think about trivial things quite often. We're really kind of hard to control. So I mean, that's what it looks like to me, anyway.
Right. All right. Anything else that we need to know about the book, Mr. Raymond? We've got about 7 minutes remaining in the show.
Well, let me think. Interesting is that it's doing well in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating. Japan, Australia, Germany. I got a call. I was having dinner a few nights ago, and I got a call, and I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it in the restaurant, so I had to step out in this vestibule. And it was a production company from Southern California asking me for more information about my book. And they were a movie production company, and I checked them online, and they're pretty big. And so they're looking and getting more information. As a matter of fact, Billy, they're listening tonight. I told a woman that we talked for about 45 minutes. She wanted really specific details about my book, and then she said that I said, well, if you want, you can listen to Billy Willard and on the blog, and Bigfoot. And she said, oh no, I'm well aware that you're on that, and I will be listening that night. So. Oh
man, well, and DB, he's helping us out.
No.
Where's our movie deal?
So I don't.
We even have great comedy relief with JC. Epic character.
Who knows, right? Who knows? But anything's good. Bigfoot connected communication, anything on the word is, we're all kind of family. All the Bigfoot people that believe, and it's all great. And and this book was just something that I wanted to see out there, and I'm glad it's people are liking it. And I knew it was a little radical, a little going to shake a few people up, especially the Bigfoot purists that are out there. But it's interesting, and I'm meeting a lot of great people, and I'm getting a lot of great vibe and everything from people online, and actually getting letters in the mail. So it's great. It's really good. It's been a great experience.
All right. Well, I'm definitely going to get it too. I mean, you've definitely got me interested, so I'm gonna have to read it. So I'll be getting the book as well. All right, folks, we've only got 4 minutes left of the show. If you've been sitting there waiting to ask this particular question that nobody has asked Mr. Raymond for you, go ahead and call in 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. I know it's somebody out there that's just got that question on the tip of their tongue that they ain't heard anybody else ask. I know they want to ask it. So if you're out there, call in and ask the question. You're running out of time. Only got a few more minutes. Before we do end up going off live, just let everyone know that next week on the Sasquatch Watch Radio, we are going to discuss an expedition that I'm going on. I'm going on it this week, starting Thursday. We're going to be somewhere. I don't want to announce the area for obvious reasons. But I will be on expedition Thursday, Friday, Saturday, coming back Sunday. And then Monday, we will have the folks that were involved in this expedition on the show to discuss any results or anything that went on. So that's what we're going to do next Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So that should be a good time. And unfortunately, I am going to have JC with me, so, I'm sure there'll be some interesting stories there. So, DB,
yeah.
Any questions that I have missed?
Let's see, was that a question? Regina, too, said that she just bought Mr. Raymond's book, so I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. At least one sale has come out of the festivity from tonight.
What's her name?
Regina, too.
Thank you, Regina.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, let's see. We've got about 2 minutes left of the show. It don't look like anybody's going to call in. I think everybody's afraid to call in because they're afraid that they might have to hear from, some kind of response from JC, since he seems to be scaring everybody in the chat room. Some of his comments.
I'm not sure scaring is the right word. Entertaining.
Yeah, entertaining.
Causing raucous laughter.
Mr. Raymond, we certainly appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, thank you, guys.
I mean, you really gave us a really good, synopsis of what the book is about, and it's enough, I think, to interest some folks into looking into buying that book and reading it. I mean, regardless of whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it sounds like you have put a little bit of, historic fact from the past in the book, and probably a really good. And let's face it, everything to us right now is a theory until we can prove everything.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
So.
Well, it was great talking to all you guys and all the Bigfoot listeners that are out there, and like I said, we're all part of one big family. We're all believers, and it's good to support one another in all of our Bigfoot endeavors. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, and we hope that if we get you back on the show again, you would be willing to come back on.
Sounds good.
All right, and any plans on writing any other books?
Well, there is a hint in the book that I just wrote that there could be a sequel to this one if it does what I'm hoping it's going to do. So,
okay.
I would love to do a second one, and hopefully at that point we'll be a little closer to an actual documentation of the creature. So,
all right.
Sounds
great.
All right, thank
you so much, Mr. Raymond.
All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. All right, DB, there's another one under the fold there.
Yep, we've done it. They said we couldn't do it, but we did it.
We did it. We did it. We want to thank everyone. There at one point we had about 67 in the chat. We thank each and every one of you listeners for tuning in pretty much religiously every week and putting up with me and DB. So
I think it's JC they have to put up with. I think like kittens compared
that's
to JC.
True. That's true. You know, but sometimes you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, DB, do you have any final thoughts?
I think that if people are into, I think this is called crypto fiction, right? Fiction that uses cryptozoological creatures as the focus. That's
right.
Kind of a growing field, and this sounds like it's a book that, it might be a pretty good one. If that's your interest, I definitely would encourage them to buy this book and check it out.
Right. Yeah, I think it sounds interesting. So I'm probably going to go ahead and get a copy of that and read it as well. Should be, give me some interesting ideas anyway. So, all right, folks. Well, I'm going to mention it once again. We do have a new website that is particularly made for this radio show. It's called SasquatchWatchRadio.weebly.com. If you folks ever want to comment on the shows, offer us suggestions, offer us guest suggestions, tell us what we did good, tell us what we did bad. Well, I'm really setting myself up for this, ain't I? Just get on that website.
Tell us who the best Bigfoot researcher in Virginia is.
Yeah. There is a forum on there. That's where the subjects are. Feel free to post in there. Tell us what you think. If there's anyone out there listening who's had an encounter with one of these creatures and you want to bring it out to the public, fill out the guest request form, and we will certainly get in touch with you right away. And don't think that it's going to take us a long time to get to you. We do answer emails rather quickly, so feel free to fill that out. And, of course, make any suggestions that you think we should, any good ideas. We rely on you guys to listen to the radio show, and without you all, we wouldn't have a show. So, anyway, we will end it with that. Also, if there's anyone listening in the state of Virginia and you've had a sighting, something that you would like us to look at, take an investigation, you can certainly reach us at www.sasquatchwatch.net. There is an encounter report form on that website, and certainly let us know, and we will come out. There's obviously no charge for us to come out and do an investigation, and we like to get you involved. So if you've had a sighting or encounter, let us know about it. Again, that's at sasquatchwatch.net, and just fill out the encounter report form. And that's all I have for tonight, DB. Thank you for being a wonderful co-host that you always are.
Well, thank you for being the best host in the business.
Matter of fact, you're now I can't say it. I said it the one time, and now I can't say it. Inimitable. The inimitable.
Yeah, there you go. Something like that.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. Good night, DB. It's been a wonderful show, and see you all next week.
Next week.
Goodbye.
A legend silently stalks the forest around the world, leaving giant man-like footprints in its wake. Skeptics scoff while the true believers search for the answers, and those who have seen it will never forget. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, Blog Talk Radio. Billy Willard and the Blog Squatcher present Sasquatch Watch Radio. Your hosts, Billy Willard and Dee Donlin, bring you 60 minutes of the latest news and information, newly discovered evidence, and interviews with those searching for the truth and those who have seen it. Do you believe? Want to know the truth? It's out there waiting. Monday nights, 9 p.m., Blog Talk Radio, Sasquatch Watch Radio. Sit down, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down. blogtalkradio.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio.
Airline credit card rewards have helped grow America's travel and tourism industry. In 2022, 15 million Americans traveled domestically using reward miles, generating $23.4 billion for local economies, supporting more than 183,000 jobs. But now Congress is considering legislation that could eliminate credit card rewards and decimate the U.S. travel and tourism industry. Tell Congress to support travel and tourism jobs and oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card routing legislation. Visit handsoffmyrewards.com/travel to take action. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.